I know the privilege my whiteness brings. Since a child, I felt it in the little things. At this point, I may show my age, but sadly maybe not, because despite the decades passing, things ain't changed a lot. I saw the difference in the treatment by teachers, their attitudes towards my brown-skinned friends, and whilst I did not understand what that meant, it seemed unjust. Rules were bent, decisions unfair, behaviours unjust, too much to bear. Corporal punishment, marks on their backs, black boys in corridors excluded from classes, pushed into sports on running tracks, unfocused on passes, underestimated, wasted, leaving school undereducated, living lives lacking direction and self-affection. I'm a child of the 70s, when racial abuse was rife. The words I would not repeat were part of daily life. Racists are easily identified by their heads of skin, chanting and aggressive, passing on their thinking that black people threaten the British way of life. In reality, it was them that caused the strife. The racists didn't leave, they changed their look and took their stand, so in the 1980s, I got militant. Protesting against fascism at every given time, classroom, playground, detention, marches, police cells, picket lines. Who is this white girl standing on the stage telling us about racism? She ain't even beige. What can she tell me of pain and of hate, of what it feels to be prejudged and underestimated, illegitimately discriminated? Damage done. Too little, too late. I can't, and I don't ever presume I can ever experience the realm it consumes, but I can be compassionate and attempt to overstand. I have listened and I've seen. I've heard and felt the reactions when I held my black child's hand. As a white girl standing on this stage, I can talk and share and make white people aware how to use their white privilege to speak up and challenge the assumptions and presumptions of the sly comments on the tube where silence colludes. White privilege is a white problem to solve. We need to take action to make change, not our guilt absolve. With privilege comes powers that aren't super, but they're ours. With every uncomfortable conversation that challenges unwritten but insidious, hideous prejudices ingrained in our psyche that we do not even recognise because it's part of our language, and embedded in the structures that are informing and educating that tie us to the systems that we take for granted until we awake. The systems that grant us the privilege we assume are distributed equally, and until we realise that to be white is a privilege in this society that made whiteness the norm and everything else an underform, we continue the rot that carries the bias unconscious or not. Our systems and structures created to oppress, and our wealth was reliant on imperial stealth, which secured white man as superior by nature, a fallacy that instilled generational trauma, developing behaviours we aren't even aware of and legacies of unrest in the hearts of our forefathers. I say we, and I know the position I hold, but I make every effort to make sure this is told. There are direct connections between the past and the now, and we look back in history, we can see how, but people are scared to have honest debates. Rewriting history, taking people off the bait, writing up records that black people achieved, recreating stories they need to be believed to allow them to stay in their higher state, using religion to justify and reinforce hate. It's a state I abhor and challenge with passion. The whole system needs changing, review of the laws that retain the slave trading establishment flaws. We need to stand up against all injustice. Remember just this, Black Lives Matter is no threat to other lives. There is no limit to respect and what makes people thrive. Fear of scarcity has been utilised to fuel divisive propaganda. There is enough to live and survive. Fear creates only hate and anger. This is resolved by shaking up resources to address these issues. We need to join forces. So get talking, get marching, challenge every wrong, write, shout or sing your song. Be creative and be brave, and do what you can, because we shall overcome when united we stand.